Hey everybody, this is Fatine,
And I'm Aja,
and we're Kindred
the Family Soul.
And you know I got soul. Yeah.
Kindred. So the new album, A Couple Friends,
Yes.
coming out in a couple weeks.
Yes.
Kind of take some time to introduce us to it.
Okay.
Well, A Couple Friends is
Our
our fifth studio album, and the concept A Couple Friends really just comes from kind of like the basics, us going back to basics. No matter what we've done or how many years have gone by, he's still my friend, and we've done everything we've done, just the two of us, experienced some of the best things in our lives with our mate, which has really been an exciting thing for us and a journey for us, but then really had just been the subject matter of the kinds of songs and the music that people have come to relate to us with, but mostly because the relationship we've built over the years, because of that relationship between the two of us, has caused us to have a relationship with our fans that really functions kind of like we're everybody's couple friend.
Right.
The couple you invite over to play spades or to a cookout or on a double date,
Or that you call when you're going through something. And I
feel like that's a relationship we built over time with our fans. So it kind of has a double meaning and maybe even a triple meaning as well, in terms of just that now that we've made these 5 records, and we talked earlier about Dre and Vidal and also Steve McKee and Ed Bell, and that this group of producers we work with have just been kind of the dream team or the key players in all of our albums, and that this was just such a good, easy coming together for that. We opened it up and they came and they knew it was almost like they knew what to give us. And it's a working relationship with them that has blossomed into a really beautiful kind of dance.
Right.
So really that's what Couple Friends is about, pulling together all those different aspects of what Couple Friends really means into making this project.
And then when it comes out and people get it, don't forget to share it with a couple of your friends.
Listening to this album, you can really hear just what you were talking about, how people can relate. Your fans can relate to what you're singing about, and it's like down to earth type of material. It's like about relationships, about the struggles people go through. Do you think that's what makes you so welcoming to new fans who are catching all of the time?
We hope so, and we like to believe so. I think that is just the same place that we've always been in, and just trying to be truthful, trying to be honest and sincere with the people who listen to the music. I mean, we see them in the music that we create, and we're looking at them as inspiration, as well as, I guess, they see us as inspiration in whatever way. It's a two-way street. And we just continue to do that and hope that it resonates with people. But first and foremost, it has to resonate with us. It has to feel good to us, in our heart when we go to write it or we go to record it. And we always start there. If it makes us feel happy and feel good, then we don't usually feel afraid or hesitant to share it with the people.
Right. And the first single is out, Everybody Hustling.
Mm-hmm.
What was the inspiration for the song? We're loving that one now. It's getting great reception.
Mm-hmm.
How did you guys create it?
Well, that song really is about, just celebrating the kind of average person and how their everyday triumph over adversity is in many instances overlooked because of just the way that we kind of glorify wealth and what society's vision of what success is. And I found that Fatia and I, especially amongst our fans, have been viewed as being quite successful just because we have been able to stay married and have a family and love them and be open about it. And so we're not special in that. Most people and a lot of people function like that. Many people get up every day, go to work, take care of their families, do the best they can, are charitable, are doing quite a bit with themselves without, having a lot of money.
Right.
And I think that we have to get back to kind of celebrating those as being big triumphs and not being small ones. And that's really the sentiment behind Everybody's Hustling. But just that, hey, hold your head up high. Yay for the regular people.
Now, I was reading in your bio that this is the first album you guys created where you weren't expecting a child or just had a child.
Mm-hmm.
So what did that allow you to do differently?
spend a little bit more concentrated time recording and being more focused on just that, rather than having to kind of split our focus from like a sleeping baby or a nursing baby. Didn't have to pump any milk, didn't have to put somebody to sleep, didn't have to be quiet and shut everybody out of the studio.
Wasn't nobody crying at the studio.
Right.
Their voice didn't get heard on the track.
Right.
We couldn't keep them quiet, so we had a good time.
So that was cool. So we kind of got back to just him and I just having fun, spending evenings in the studio and laughing and joking and just being able to just be free.
Eating snacks that they couldn't have none of.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right, kids.
Falling asleep, just the act of falling asleep in the studio that's huge. You know what I mean? Because when you have a little baby, you can't just fall asleep.
Hey, the label's here. We didn't fall into sleep in the studio at all. Ever.
Worked
No, we did not. We worked
time.
all the way. There was 5 minutes.
Yeah, but
somebody was working on that.
Working into the wee hours of the night and stuff like that, it's much easier when you have a grandmother or a babysitter who's like, they come and the kids are already asleep.
Mm-hmm.
At least you have till 6 a.m.
Right. Cool. Now, this album I know has less guests than the previous one. I think this one only has one guest.
Two guests.
Two guests,
actually,
sorry.
yeah.
Was that done by design? Would you?
The last album, I guess, even in starting to make the last album, I don't think that we necessarily set out like, this is the album we're going to get all these features on. It didn't happen that way. It was just kind of like,
there were people in our lives.
People in our lives, it made sense to put on the songs, and people asked us about it, and it just kind of happened. And this one as well, I don't think that we set out like, all right, well, this is going to be the record where we don't have hardly any guests on. It wasn't like that as well. It's like every time it's just a natural progression, and you do what feels good and what you like. And if you need assistance or you want somebody to be on something, that's always available to artists, usually in some way or another. It may not be the person you want, but you can always get somebody else on a record or what have you. But with Chill Moody, who's on the record, who's a young MC out of Philly who's coming up and really making a name for himself, we just see a lot of ourselves in him as, on the come up, on the grind, you know what I mean? And out there making a name for yourself, building a fan base and doing it in your city and watching you start to become championed as a young, MC in the city who people are forced to be reckoned with. That's a familiar story to us. We love that story. We've always been there to try to support other people, not just MCs, but singers, musicians, actors, whatever the case may be, in any way that we can be of assistance to them. On our first record, Jasmine Sullivan was one of the first artists that we brought attention to. So in that way, if we can bring somebody along who people are going to find out about for the first time or enjoy, that's always a cool thing. And of course, the collaboration with Miss Valerie Simpson on the title track, A Couple Friends, was also kind of a natural progression. Actually, Ashford and Simpson were supposed to be guests on our last CD as well. Magic happened, and unfortunately, due to the sickness of Mr. Ashford, they weren't able to be a part of it, and then he would eventually pass. And so since that time, we built even more of a better relationship with Ms. Val. And when we were working on the record, A Couple Friends, actually, that title track, I just felt like something that would be a nice inclusion of her on the piano, and on the keys, and something that would just, it just would finish off the record and put them up right.
It felt like a classy choice. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you just, when you put people on records, you want it to feel like a good choice. Right. You want to just feel like, oh, we just put such and such on it. I actually have a thing about collabs that I hate when that feels like that. I hate when I listen to a collaboration. It's just like they just, pull somebody from the sky and throw them on there. I like it when it's pulled together in a way that feels like this song wouldn't be this song if that element wasn't there.
Right. Makes sense. Being a couple, if all your fans know, great relationship. What is your chemistry like in the studio? Because we've talked to many groups and they talk about their chemistry, but it's a different dynamic. It has to be a different dynamic, though.
No, I mean we
it's similar to home life, to
right.
be honest. Like, yeah.
Some of it's like super easy, and some of it's like, but most of it's super easy. Truth be told, our creative relationship's pretty easy. We respect each other. We have a dance going. We have a space. we rarely kind of dislike what the other person has done. If it's something that's like really not resonating, we'll be like, yeah.
I don't know if
But-
she's noticed it, but over time, I kind of have stopped being as involved in when she's in the vocal booth because
I was gonna say that.
she doesn't
Like it.
You know, and I come from already being a writer and producer to begin with, so like people being in the vocal booth and being on the other side. And I noticed it, but I also feel like it makes sense. And I've watched her own growth on her own as well, and being in the booth and what she does and how she can go to the studio, just her and an engineer, and come back with all her stuff as well. And I don't necessarily need to be there to bounce off of or give ideas or anything of that nature either. And then that's kind of worked for both of us. So sometimes it's a tag team situation where AJ will go into the studio for a couple of hours and I'm not there, or I go into the studio for a couple of hours and she's not there, and then we come together and we're there together and listening to what we've done and putting all the finishing touches on what each other has done. And it just kind of, it's a good rhythm. We finally found that good rhythm. And we used to talk about it like a basketball team, like when you put two good stars together on a team, but they haven't really played together. And it was like in the beginning, that was kind of how it was. We were just fiddling around. We both knew how to shoot. We both know how to dribble, you know what I mean, and take the ball to the hole, but we didn't know how to play together. And it's like we done won championships together now. We done played 5 or 6 championship games, and we understand each other's rhythm. I know when to dish it off. She knows when to dish it off. She knows when to go for the slam dunk. I know when to go for the layup. All those different things, and it's just from being good teammates and good team players.
I think he when he's working alone, he kind of shines in with the creative part. I feel like when I'm alone, I shine in execution. Whereas like if he's in a studio without me, he usually can come up with like a lot of ideas. So when I come back, he's got like a hook here, a bridge here. He came up with this song idea. He's got like really great ideas. And then usually when I'm in the studio alone, I'm not really creating. I'm usually just executing. So a lot of times when I'm in the studio, like I'll come back and I will have cut my vocals.
You write her stuff at home.
Yeah, I will have cut all my vocals. I'll cut all the vocals to everything. Like he'll be like, "Oh, Dad, you did that." All my backgrounds. So like that. So, but it works out because, like I said, I mean, like he
and
said,
parents. And so it's like it's occasionally where we have to tag team, and somebody has to be here and somebody has to be there. We can't always be in the exact same place at the exact same time, except for when we are on stage.
Right.
So it's a beautiful thing about in making the music or now. Or now. All right, right now. Of course we can be, but it just works out, and it's a good thing that it does.
Cool.
And there's a good thing that there's two people.
Right. You guys, final question for you guys. You've been successful at this over a decade now. Some people haven't realized you've had this success. Has your motivation changed for making music at all over the years?
I would probably say no.
Not the motivation.
Our motivation for making music has pretty much always been the same, but most artists are going to tell you the same thing. The music business is tough, and you have to consistently kind of motivate yourself and stay pep talk yourself and say, okay, look, why? Sometimes you have to really kind of reconsider why you're doing it. Like, why are we doing this? One of the, I would have to say, if I had to be raw and honest, the one conversation. I'm always honest, but if I had to really put it out, put it all out there, I would say that the hardest thing for us has been when the music business was very tough. The family dynamic does make it very difficult.
So that's all we had. Is there anything you guys want to add?
Buy a couple friends. Buy 2 copies.
Mm-hmm.
One for you, one for your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's good. It's like, no. Well, yeah, that is our album. June 10th.
We appreciate y'all's support, and we thank you very much. God bless. We're going to continue to do what we do, kind of, spread the love and spread hope and messages of uplifting to as many people as we possibly can. And God willing, the music will be here for long after we're gone.